What were you making fun about the heated seats?
I just don't like heated seats. Ever since I was little,
Really?
I have a bonus mom in my family, and she had this red Jeep, like Jeep Cherokee or something, and I rode with her somewhere, and she turned it on before I knew what a heated seat was. Like, this is early 2000s, if not like 99, 2000.
Okay.
And when they first kind of started to come out. And she turned it on, and I was like, what is going on? And really, ever since then, I just don't like them. And like the way that like you can have cooling seats and heating seats now, to me it's just a technology error waiting to happen to burn the car down.
Wow, okay.
So, a little bit extreme, but good morning, it's McKenna Hansen with Wired Wednesday, keeping this community connected. Man, if I could talk today, I was late last week, if I could talk today, we'd actually have a productive show. Today in studio we have Chantry with Guild Mortgage. And we're going to go over what's going on in the mortgage world. Mortgage rates, mortgage everything going on, and what construction loans mean, how many different mortgages you can take out on your house, and all the different, ins and outs of that. So, good morning, Chantry. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Can't complain.
Yeah.
Other than I can't talk today, which, is an issue. But
Nah, you're doing great. We're excited to be here. Some crazy stuff going on in the world. But it's a good place to be. We're lucky we live in southern Utah, I think.
Yes, even though it's in the top 5 fastest growing communities in the nation right now, is it not?
Yeah, I think so. Everybody wants to be here.
Oh, well, it is. We do have beautiful scenery. Zions, Bryce, Lake Powell, a couple hours away. We're 2 hours from everything.
Modena, don't forget Modena.
Oh, sorry, Modena and Rachel. Rachel is still even just outside that 2-hour mark.
Yeah, but I'm ready to make the trip out thing. We're going to get a screwdriver and cure that at some point. So
I just want to make sure I'm not too far away.
No, you're
fine.
fine. You're fine.
So what the thing that's going on in the community is growth, rapid growth, right? Houses are on the markets less than 30 days, for that.
Less
that
than 30
sweet
minutes.
Basically.
A lot of times, yeah.
Right.
Well, and people are not only, offering 10,000 above asking, but sometimes 20, 30, 40.
Yep.
I mean, the Larkin Group with Jeremy Larkin and Jesse Paul have been going over the numbers and the statistics. You're getting 30 and 40 offers on a home for over, 30 and 40% almost of what the asking price is.
Yeah.
What does that mean for mortgages? And it's kind of like the winner of the highest bid takes all right now, which is just insane to me.
Sure.
5 years ago we were getting asking price or below with closing costs and whatnot on the seller's end.
Right.
Now we've completely flipped. It's the highest bid takes all.
Yeah.
Tell us kind of what that means with mortgage rates. What you kind of see going on, and where you think the next 3 months is going to take us.
Yeah, so the challenge when you go in and you offer more than the list price on a home is that most likely they determined the list price on that home looking at comparable homes that have sold. We call them comps, right? So you go look at what your neighbor's house sold for, and you and your real estate agent make a team decision on what you think that home is worth based on properties similar to yours that have sold in the area. So if you go over that price and you need to get a mortgage, well, the appraiser is going to be looking at those same comparable home sales, and most likely that appraisal is going to be homes that sold. And part of the challenge with appraisals is that they're going back in time. They try to keep it as close as they can, but even 6 months ago, if your neighbor sold their house and it's very similar to yours 6 months ago, they may have to use that as a comparable. They can have a little adjustment for market increases, but they can't have the adjustment for the way the market just quickly jumped up. So we're seeing appraisals come in lower than purchase price quite often. And believe it or not, buyers are going in making offers knowing that's going to happen. We're having the conversation of here's what the mortgage would look like. Because see, we're not going to lend. When everyone thinks of, let's say, a 5% down mortgage, right?
Uh-huh.
They think of 5% down. A mortgage lender doesn't think of 5% down. They think of we're lending 95% of this home's value.
Okay.
Okay, so 95% of a, let's see if we can do some math without getting too wild. A $200,000 house, 95% is $190,000.
Yes. So I have to come up with 5%, which is 10,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's say that same scenario, in order to get the home in today's market, they have to go to 220 in purchase price, knowing this may not appraise for that because 6 months ago there's a house that sold like mine for for 200.
Okay.
So appraiser uses that as a comp. House does appraise for 200, but they're trying to buy it for 220. We're still, as a mortgage lender, only going to give a loan for that 190,000.
So now my liability or my exposure to that, or my responsibility is a better word, is not only the 10,000 originally for the 5%, but the additional that I overpaid for the appraisal. So now I'm not on the hook necessarily, I guess.
You just have to come in with the difference in that scenario, $30,000.
Right, which would be
Because you're
$30,000.
going to get the same loan amount.
But you can't necessarily take out a second mortgage at that point to come up with that additional.
Right.
You have to have hard cash.
Right, because all
Liquid assets.
lenders are going to look at the purchase price barely matters. The appraisal is truthfully done for the lender.
So is what's happening in the market now is that you have people that might, I'm not trying to generalize here, but maybe folks relocating and they're coming into the market with a good deal of cash to be able to help out with those differences?
It's a great point. Most of the buyers right now and the losers in this market that are struggling right now, that I hate to see it, and I hope that things... I'm a mortgage lender. I love it when it's busy, right? We make money when it's busy. You make money when there's growth.
Right.
I don't want it to get too ridiculous, though. And if first-time home buyers that can't make up the difference in some of those scenarios, their offer's not even getting considered. So they're the ones that are kind of having a hard time right now. Most of the folks are selling outside of the area, selling it, we always make fun of the California people, right? Sell this condo for $700,000 and come to Cedar City and buy a house for $400,000.
Right.
And they got all this excess cash. It's almost like funny money because they sold their house for so much.
Right.
So they're making up the difference. They're putting these really large down payments. They're not really as concerned about the appraisal because they're seeing, I can buy this in Cedar. This is like a $2 million house where I'm from.
Right.
So that's a big part of it. And, there was already a move of people worked from home. I mean, that was already happening. The internet, right? It's starting to... But COVID hit.
Amplified
Yeah,
that.
what probably would have taken, who knows, maybe 10 years to really get to where we are now happened in like 6 months.
Right.
I mean, even us. So at our office, we have like 25 employees. I've never had a work from home, and I've never had somebody that worked outside of the area. Now we have several because we can.
Right.
Like I had one really, really key employee that we've had for 6 or 7 years that wanted to relocate, and we were always just afraid we were going to lose her as an employee because it wasn't an option. Well, when COVID hit, she said, so do you think, I'm already working from home anyway, do you guys care if I move to Ogden with my family like I've been wanting to do? And we're like, absolutely.
Wow.
So a big part of the mortgages that we're doing are work from homers. It used to be Cedar and St. George and just the whole southern Utah area. We had lots of growth, but there was always that ceiling of we're only going to grow as much as our employment grows to a degree, right? We know there's retirement and it's beautiful and relocating and a lot of people sacrifice, but it's still you had to have the employment. Now, I mean, there's some local employment, but most of the people that we're doing loans for are work from homers.
Right, and the remote, and that just, and it goes back into how this economy goes back into the growth, right? It's eventually our local jobs will catch up. Like we need food industry, we need hospitality, and the fluctuations of that. But it's interesting because of all the work from homes, other communities, corporations, money is infiltrating our economic
For sure.
status and our economy and going through the different spending because they're now buying homes. They're paying taxes on those homes. They're buying groceries in our grocery stores and paying taxes on.
Yeah.
Now they have family from those other states, those other areas coming and staying in our hotels. So that's bubbling our economy.
Yeah.
And at some point it's going to bubble at a new normal level.
Looking ahead on some of that, this may be a little bit off the path, but one of the things I'm listening to here, concerns I have. So you have someone that relocates, say, from out of state and from wherever. Government doing what government does best. I see taxes coming in. So if you're a work from homer, working, say, in Cedar City, employed by a company that's, say, in Oregon, isn't Oregon and Utah both going to find a way to take some of your money?
Probably.
So on income taxes, I know that for a short time I worked in 2 states of my life.
Mm-hmm.
But the state that I worked in and the state that I resided in didn't have income, like state income taxes, just federal taxes. So it was nice in that capacity. But I mean, but from Nevada and I believe it's Arizona still, they don't have state income tax. So even if I was in Phoenix and I relocated to Utah, I now have to pay Utah state income tax.
Right.
Or vice versa. If I was in Utah and I moved, but my corporation's still in Utah, it's where their residency is.
Yeah, so the individual isn't paying taxes on their income, but the business is paying taxes to the state they're in.
Okay, but again, government doing what government does best.
Oh,
They
yeah.
can say, "Oh, you're making income from a California company, and so we need some of that." And Utah saying, "And you live in Utah, so we need some of that."
Yeah, so California is collecting from the corporation that's paying the employee, and then Utah is collecting from the employee.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it'll be interesting, and not that we're tax accountants or CPAs or
No.
any of those interestingness, and it's all subject to change and whatnot. But it'll be really interesting the different dynamic that takes place with that and the structures, because really people are moving across the nation
For sure.
and possibly into different countries, or countries are coming here. Like, there's still immigration happening at some level.
Yeah, this isn't just a Utah problem. Obviously, Utah in general, northern Utah even, is having extreme growth because there's a lot of really good things about Utah and raising a family, and a lot of people really want to be here, and the politics are pretty decent, and
Right.
our government, and people like it more than a lot of the places they're at.
Right.
So Utah's probably,
For as bad as we all think it is,
Yeah.
it could be worse.
yeah,
Just
Utah's
putting it out
definitely high up on the list.
Oh
but
no. You haven't-
Everywhere's facing this a little bit though because of the
Yeah.
relocation. Everybody's now
Right.
getting to relocate.
Right.
They're getting to go where they wanted to go.
And as much as it pains me to say this, state borders aren't really as stringent as they were because of this. They're becoming more fluid, and we're becoming more as one rather than very separate. Now, I have a lot of friends out there who are kicking me for that statement, because we want to stay in our borders.
For sure.
But the economy of things, the workflow of things, the housing market of things, we are becoming so much more fluid and transparent within that
Yeah,
movement.
the world's getting smaller.
Oh man, so much smaller. And we thought Southern Utah was small, and
Yeah.
we're related to everybody in town. I used to joke I couldn't walk into Walmart without meeting at least 3 of my first cousins.
Right. So go back to the house prices and the appraised values for 2 seconds. There was an extreme inflation that's happened in home prices, right? At some time early this year, it went from here to 20% plus, or something,
Yeah.
10%,
Yeah.
really quickly. That started because of low inventory. It's just supply and demand. If milk was on a shortage, the price of a gallon of milk would get inflated.
Well, we're seeing what's happening on
Yes.
the East Coast right now, especially with gas prices.
Absolutely.
Right,
So it's
right.
the same thing with housing. So that's what started it all, and that's still driving it quite a bit because everybody knows what it's like to get lumber. I don't know if you guys have heard some of the numbers on what lumber looks like, but
Oh,
what
yeah.
used to build, I seen a stat yesterday. What used to build 10 average homes in the lumber cost now builds 2.5.
2.5.
Yeah, lumber's about 5 times. Have you gone and
Oh
looked
my
at
gosh.
like just Home Depot and seen what like a 2x4 costs?
Yes, it was like $4 or $5.
Yes.
Now it's like $12.
Yeah, at least.
At
If
least,
you can get it.
right. And the
And-
treated versus not treated. Yeah, we
and
could.
Yeah, and part of that is I'm going to mess up the word of it, but there's a sealant that's used in a lot of the wood to make the beams and stuff like that, and they quit making it. Some of the factories closed during COVID,
Oh
and
my.
it takes months to seal and set, and so it's like this isn't going to fix itself anytime soon. No
Oh,
construction industry isn't struggling to get material, so
Right.
so they're not able to really. They would love to build homes. They've got plenty of buyers. They're just not able to. And so we're still currently in this housing shortage that's going to last for a long time probably. And until that changes,
Or normalizes.
yeah, we're not going to see prices really probably go down. I'm really hoping that we've kind of jumped up a little bit and maybe we'll stabilize a little. When we stabilize for about 6 months, there can be a little increase or a little down. Then appraisals will start to catch up. So even when the market crashed, I was doing mortgages when the market crashed in 2008. And I'll tell a story of a guy that was buying a house for $250,000 like in 2008 or 9.
Okay.
It appraised for $275. That doesn't happen very often. Typically the appraiser comes in at price, but it was like he was using comps that he's like, I have to come in this high. I can't adjust this down any further.
Right.
So this guy thought that he was getting the deal of the year, right? To have 10% equity in your home immediately is insane. It doesn't happen too often.
Right.
Well, what he didn't realize, and what I didn't realize, is that the appraiser was using comps from 6 months ago.
In a crash.
And the market had already crashed.
Okay.
So truthfully, the real value of that home was probably, he bought it for $225. 6 months later, it was probably like $200.
Oh,
Because
no.
it crashed,
And
and then it took that 6 month time for those appraisals to catch up to what had happened. So that's what we're doing in an increasing inventory. When things go really quickly up or really quickly down, it's going to take 6 months of a moderate stabilization for the appraisals to be accurate.
So, not wanting to be Debbie Downer here, and I realize this is not your field of expertise, but what happens if we get another crash? I mean, could that happen?
Yeah, I mean, everything's going to go up and down, right? Here's the gigantic difference.
Okay.
I personally own several rental properties. I'm a homeowner. I believe in owning real estate. If I found the right property, I wouldn't be afraid to buy it right now, even at what we feel like inflated prices.
Wow.
Because I know what the supply and demand situation is, and I know it's not going to get fixed anytime soon. Now, if you're looking to buy a house and flip it next year, or value's going to be higher next year, I don't know, and I kind of hope not. I hope they're about the same.
Mm-hmm.
The giant difference in the crash, though, is that people were getting mortgages that they have no ability to afford.
There was that rub. I remember that. Yes.
That was truthfully, that was the gasoline to the fire. There were school teachers making $4,000 a month, just an average decent income, and they were having $2,200 house payments. If you make $4,000 a month, you only probably put $3,000 a month in your bank because your government gets to take some of it.
Right.
You can't afford that house payment. The reason they were doing it is because, first of all, there were loans that people shouldn't have been getting, stated income, right? Stated assets. And it should have been the responsibility of the person getting it, that it's like, I can't afford this payment, I shouldn't be doing this. But it was also greedy banks giving loans to people that shouldn't got it.
Oh, yeah.
The reason everybody did it is because they thought, I'm going to buy this house, I'll use my 401k, my savings, whatever, to make this payment work. And then in a year, I'm going to sell it and make $50,000. That's what everybody thought. Well, then when the rug got pulled out, because it can only go up for so long, no matter what it is. I mean, there's going to be a point where it just cannot go up any further. After that happens, and then people that got in at the end can't continue making their house payment, and then home prices are going down, and they were getting 100% financing and silly mortgages, and so they didn't have any skin in the game, no equity.
Oh, man.
So if you've got a house payment you can't afford, and now your home price has gone down and you owe more on the mortgage than the house is worth, you're probably going to have to walk away from that home. That's what happened. That created and then once it starts sliding, right, then it really is hard to stop.
Right.
Because when values are going down, it's like they're going down and you got to get in front of it. Yeah. So it was all about people couldn't actually afford the mortgage. Then it created a glut of inventory. So the opposite of what we have now. There were too many homes and not enough eligible buyers.
Right.
Because now the laws and the stringencies.
And so the rules started getting different. We had people pre-approved building homes, and the loan program that they were building the home on went away. So now they can't get this loan.
Right.
Wow. So that's another house on the market, right?
Agreed.
And a buyer that can't
We
buy.
are short on time.
Yeah.
I love these conversations. I love how we try to just educate. You know, we're just trying to push out information to educate people, and that's what Wired Wednesday is about.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chantry from Jay.
Yeah, super
coming
fun.
in and going through the details. It's incredible what information is out there and things. So how do we get a hold of you to learn more?
Yeah, you can just shoot us a call at 435-674-1090. That's 435-674-1090. We're Guild Mortgage. We're never going to push anybody to do anything. We're going to simply educate you. If you think you need some credit help, we'll point you in the right direction. We do not want people spending. I mean, we've done this a long time. My partner's been in it for 25 years. I've now been in it 15. We want people to buy a house that they can afford. And most of the people we're helping, again, you talked about what are prices going to do in here. It's like, are you buying a house to live in? Or Or are you buying a house to sell next year and make a profit? Because if it's to sell next year and make a profit, I probably don't have the answers for you.
Right.
If it's a house to live in, then it starts to become, does this work for your family? Do these monthly payments work for your family? If they do, you're going to be fine in the long run.
Okay.
Right.
And for
Sorry,
McKinnon,
yes.
how do we get a hold of you?
This has been McKinnon Hansen with Wired Wednesday, sponsored by Farm Bureau and Guild Mortgage. My number is 435-592-2021. Thank you for joining us for Wired Wednesday.
All right. Thanks, MJ. We'll see you next week here, okay? One last time.